Amy from Functional Training Playground. A few weeks ago I held a hormone seminar here in the studio and we filmed it. So all of you guys can watch it at home as well. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know and I'll get back to you. But yeah, hopefully you get something out of it. Enjoy. Girls.
We all know what I'm going to be talking about today, female hormones and how that can affect fat loss. Alrighty, so no surprise that I am all kinds of messed up when it comes to my hormones. Obviously, I'm not a hormone professional. I haven't done any degrees or anything. Today is literally just about what I've learnt. I've been to GPs, I've been to naturopaths, I've done my own research, and I'm just going to share it with you. Okay, so hopefully everyone gets something out of it. I went on the pill when I was 15. I came off the pill when I was 22. Purely just because I thought I should. I was like, I've been on this for a long time. I should give my body a break. So I did. I came off it. And then I didn't get a period for a year. And I was like, that's not right. And I left it a year and then I went to the doctor. And in that time that I went off the pill, so I didn't get a period. And then I also had really, really bad skin. And my GP was like, you've got PCOS. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then I did my own research from then and freaked the hell out, which I'm sure there's a few people in here that have PCOS actually, so I'm sure a lot of people do the same. And then I said, okay, well, what do I do now? Like, I've got it, what happens now? She said, you need to go back on the pill. I was like, oh, okay, so I did. She's the doctor. And then the only thing that really changed was that I was getting a regular period again, but I still had really bad skin. Everything else was still happening. So then I decided to get a second opinion and I went and saw a naturopath and she did some further testing and actually changed the diagnosis to post-pill PCOS. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, the difference between the two. And then where I'm at right now is that my estrogen levels are too low. You're meant to have 200 picogram, let's go with that, per milliliters of blood. So 200 is the average and I'm sitting at 0.2. So may as well be a boy. These are the two most common types of PCOS. There's insulin-resistant PCOS. Does everyone, sorry, I should have said PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay, so it means you've got cysts on your ovaries. That's what it kind of stands for. There's obviously a lot more involved. So insulin-resistant PCOS, that's the more serious of the two. So when I started researching, I've got PCOS, everything pointed to that one. Started freaking out, okay? The main thing is like infertile. So I'm like, oh God, that's terrifying. So the characteristic symptoms, I guess, of insulin-resistant PCOS are high insulin levels, you've got follicles or cysts on your ovaries, irregular ovulation, so you're not ovulating regularly, obviously. Your testosterone levels are really high, and you're considered a pre-diabetic because of really high insulin. Okay, so the high insulin levels are caused by, it can be caused by your ethnicity. What else is there? Genetics as well, but mainly like the driving forces of high insulin is the environment. So your diet, lack of exercise, smoking as well, that can cause really high insulin levels. And then the other type, which is what my naturopath changed my diagnosis to, is post-pill PCOS. So suppressed ovulation, none at all, nothing. That's me. Then what that is, it's because when you get your first period, 3 to 5 years after that period, your brain and your ovaries develop this neurological path where they're working together, that once a month your estrogen levels increase, you release an egg, that then triggers your progesterone to increase, and then you get a period. Okay, but because I went on the pill when I was 15, my brain didn't really have to do that. My brain was like, sweet, kicking back, the pill was doing it for me. Okay, so then once I went off the pill, and my ovaries are still releasing the egg, they know what's going on, my brain doesn't know what to do. Okay, so my brain didn't learn that neurological path because I went on the pill so quickly. Okay, so that's what that is, post-pill PCOS, which is actually like a lot of people are going to doctors, getting diagnosed with PCOS, and it's actually this type, which is way better. Like that's treatable, post-pill PCOS, ideal, okay? And then, so I've just put down there, doctors will often diagnose PCOS when there are some common symptoms. So like, oh, I don't have my periods, I've got bad skin, and I've got follicles on my ovaries, and they just throw that diagnosis out without actually testing your insulin levels, your hormone levels, or performing an ultrasound. So that's what I was. My naturopath said, okay, what are your insulin levels like? If you've got PCOS, what are your insulin levels like? I'm like, I don't know, they didn't test them. My insulin levels are fine. My testosterone levels are fine. My progesterone levels were okay. It was my estrogen that was like really, really low. Okay, so that's completely different. And yeah, they often won't tell you what type. They'll just give that diagnosis, which is pretty terrifying. I just want to talk about some female characteristics. So obviously we're typically smaller in size. We've got less muscle mass, which does mean that we burn less calories. So I'm sure we've all been in here looking at our heart rate monitors and thinking, why the hell is Nick Grant burning 4 times as many calories as I am? I'm working just as hard. Okay, it's because that's just the way that we're made. Alrighty, but on the other side of things, if Corey and I were both to eat a Big Mac, same amount of calories that we consume. Okay, so you just got to keep that in mind. Alrighty. We store fat for survival, and it obviously makes it really difficult to lose fat. Okay. Question: why is it difficult to lose fat? Does anyone know?
We're made to have babies.
Bang on, Paulie. We carry the goddamn human race on our shoulders, ladies. So if our body fat percentage is too low and we're not menstruating, means we're not having babies. And whether we like it or not, we were literally put on this planet to make babies. Okay. So yeah, with the Big Mac, it'll take me 20 to 30% longer to burn off than it would take Corey. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So let's talk menstrual cycle. Okay, what are the two, pop quiz, what are the two main female hormones? Bang on, gold star for you, Jenny. Okay, tell me then, which one spikes in the first 14 days of your menstrual cycle? Is it estrogen or progesterone? Estrogen, you guys are good. Alrighty, look, tricky. Alright, so in the first 14 days, so day one of your cycle is when you get a period. Okay, so when your period starts, that's day one. So then throughout the 14 days, your estrogen spikes. Day 14, you ovulate. And then after that, your progesterone spikes. Okay, so estrogen is our friend. We like estrogen, right? Progesterone, the devil. Okay, can anyone agree with me? Leading up to so when you get here, leading up to your next period, how do we feel? Disgusting, right? Okay, and then what I want you to do is just keep in mind that literally every single day of that 28, I know some people don't have 28-day cycles, I'm just talking generally for today, we're physiologically like a different person every single day. Okay, everything's changing. Men are the same every single day. Okay, they have a 24-hour cycle, right? So at the end of the day, their hormone levels change to then wind them down before bed and all that kind of stuff, where we are different every single day. How good. Because of that, we're really complex. There's a lot happening. So just keep in mind that only 1 in every 38 studies, whether it be medicine, a cold and flu tablet, anything like that, it could be a new diet, only 1 in every 38 studies actually include women. Okay, so the majority of them are tested on men and then they're released into the public. And then there's been a few cases where medicines have actually had to be pulled off the shelf because women have reacted to them really badly. Okay, so don't stress about that, but obviously just like before you go on a particular type of medicine or you start a new diet or anything like that, just do your research, okay? Because sometimes, more often than not, they haven't been tested on us girls. Okay, so days 1 to 14. So when your estrogen is really dominant, that's called your follicular phase. Okay, so this is when we feel incredible. Our appetite decreases, we're pretty good with insulin, so we're not craving sweets or anything. It also protects against muscle soreness. Whereas days 15 to 28, so after ovulation, that's our luteal phase, that's when progesterone is dominant. So our metabolic rate increases, which means that we're burning more. So on average, we're meant to consume about an extra 100 to 300 calories in these 14 days after. But because we don't process our carbs very well and we're very insulin resistant, we on average consume about 500 extra calories. Chocolate, bread, pasta, yeah? And yeah, so we're insulin resistant, which means that we don't handle carbs very well. So we're feeling sluggish, we feel pretty average, okay? Does anyone have any questions about that? Does that all make sense? Is everyone like agreeing that they can feel the difference between, yeah? All right, so these are just some changes that you're gonna notice. So in the first 14 days, right before you ovulate, so right before that day 14, your testosterone spikes, you are gonna have the best workout of your life. You're gonna feel strong, you're gonna feel fit, you're gonna hit PBs, you're gonna have a clear mind, you've got higher pain tolerance as well. And this is a good time to start, you know, making changes to your nutrition. So if you want to cut out sugar on your diet, you're going to do it here. Good luck doing it here, okay? That's just silly. So if you want to make any changes, try and do it in these first 14 days, alrighty? And then, so days 15 and onwards, you're going to experience lack of coordination. You might feel weak, which means that you're going to be at a higher risk of injury. Your body temperature rises, you hold on to water, and you're not going to necessarily have your best workout, okay? I'm going to make an example of you, Christy. Christy came in yesterday and she's looking at her miser and she's going, do you ever just feel like you don't have a good workout? I'm just not feeling it today. And I went, where are you in your cycle? Let me guess, are you in your luteal phase? And she's like, yes, I am, okay? So it's true. So if that happens, if you're not feeling the workout, drop the weight, just go high reps, okay? You don't want to hurt yourself. Like, you can come in days 1 to 14 and be benching 25 kilos and it feels like nothing, and then the next week you come in and you can barely lift 15, okay? Don't, I put it in capitals, don't be hard on yourself, alrighty? There's nothing we can do about it. Just dial back, go into high reps. Alrighty, so then if you are, because we are insulin resistant, if you're mindful of it, you can just pull back on the carbs, okay? And increase your protein. So that's going to keep you fuller for longer. This is menopause. All the time. Yay. Okay, I want to talk about contraception. So I've just put a few examples up there. Obviously the pill, intrauterine device, so that's the one that gets inserted. The implant, that's the one that goes in your arm, and then you can also get injections, okay? That's just a few forms of contraception. So what they can do, and what they 9 times out of 10 will do, is wreak havoc on your skin, your hair and your moods. Often we're put on the pill to fix all of those things. It can artificially bring about a period, so you may not necessarily actually be ovulating. You might be having a period, but you're not necessarily ovulating. They're going to change your estrogen and your progesterone levels, decrease your testosterone levels, which means that it's going to be hard to build muscle, it's going to be hard to lose fat. And also you're not going to necessarily be performing very well in the gym if you've got really low testosterone levels, and it can make your life really difficult when you decide to stop. So that was where I was at. I came off the pill, all of that happened, and now I'm still paying the price from being on the pill for so long. And then what I've done is I've just put a few little tips or tricks down for managing that. So managing when you do come off the pill, or if you're looking to go on a form of contraceptive, just be aware of your body and how it works. So get a diary, write it down. Day 1, I feel disgusting. Day 2, whatever, you know. Understand the side effects of each form of contraception. So again, do your research. Change your diet and your exercise schedule accordingly, because what all of these do, the pill, all of the forms of contraception, what they do is make it difficult to lose weight, but they don't make you gain weight. Okay, there's a difference. All right, so if you start on the pill, you're not going to put lots of weight on. Okay, it doesn't work like that. You're not eating heaps of chocolate, but what it is going to do is make it difficult to lose weight. It's going to make it easier to gain fat, harder to lose fat. Okay, does everyone make sense that there's a difference? It's not these forms of contraception that are putting weight on, it's just making it more difficult. And then yeah, so it's just a matter of changing your diet and your exercise schedule accordingly. So you might need to dial back on carbs. You might not process them very well, you might hold on to fat. Okay, so it might mean that you need to dial back. You might need to do a little bit more cardio to help with that process, okay? And then get multiple opinions. I just took my GP's word of advice as the holy grail, and then I regretted that. So go and see other people, okay? Do your own research. Okay, so let's talk deficiencies and dominance. Okay, so the first, we'll talk about estrogen first. So if you're estrogen deficient, you might get an increase in UTIs because your urethra is thinning, or it's much thinner than the average. Irregular or no periods at all, you can get hot real quick, you can get lots of headaches. Where on the other side of the scale, estrogen dominance as a society is very common, okay, because a lot of like factory farming, chickens are pumped full of estrogen. There's estrogen in plastic, so like if you're glad wrapping your food and then you heat it, a little estrogen's going into your food. There's estrogen everywhere, estrogen in town water, okay, so there's lots of estrogen. So as a society, majority of people are very estrogen dominant. A lot of men as well, you might find that they carry weight like in their chest area. Again, they could be really high in estrogen. And then if we talk about progesterone, if you're deficient in progesterone, you could have thyroid dysfunction. It can cause anxiety or depression. Fibroids and endometriosis can come from a progesterone deficiency. You can get headaches as well. And then on the other side, oh, sorry, I didn't say. Bloating, low libido, and increased symptoms of PCOS are common for people that are estrogen dominant. Progesterone dominant, you can be fatigued, you can have mood swings, and you can feel bloating as well. And then testosterone. If you're testosterone deficient, you too could have a low libido. You're going to feel weak, you're going to feel sluggish. Again, you're going to find it hard to increase your muscle mass. You might not sleep very well. And then testosterone dominance. You might have excess body hair. So that's where that insulin-resistant PCOS comes into play, that main one, because they do have high testosterone levels. So that's like that's another symptoms that doctors look for when they're diagnosing PCOS, is excess body hair, acne, increased muscle mass. So you'll find it easy to build muscle if you are testosterone dominant. So if you notice any of these, you can go to your doctor and just ask for a blood test. You know, I want to test my hormone levels. Okay, so it's not a bad idea, because very often we're just like, oh yeah, it's just normal, which it is. We are going to experience some of this, but if you're way too high, it could be wreaking havoc with a lot of other things going on with your body. Does anyone have any of these? Yeah, resonate with some? I've put a few resources down. Feel free to like take a photo of this if you want to. This is my naturopath, Hayley Stockbridge. She does phone consultations. She is in Surrey Hills. No, she's not. Stanmore. She's in Stanmore. She does have a website. She puts up heaps of blogs, lots of information. You can do a phone consultation. This is a lady on Instagram. She was at Philex the other day that we went to, actually, and I was like in awe for 3 hours. No one can usually hold my attention for that long. She was so interesting. She's a naturopath as well. She's got all the knowledge. This is a podcast, The Period Party. They release a new episode every week. Very interesting. And then, also, we've got a YouTube channel. You'll find my face on there. But again, like, don't take what I'm saying as gospel. Exactly, yeah, because this is just what I've learnt from my research, okay? I'm not a professional. Don't go to GP and say, my PT said. What do they do? So when I went there, she said, you know, what are you here for? I'm like, I've got PCOS, but I want to come off the pill. At that point, I was still on the pill. And I said, you know, I want to manage my PCOS, my hormone levels naturally. And then she said, you know, like, what are your insulin levels like? What are your hormone levels like? I'm like, I don't know, like, my GP did it all. But my GP didn't, so she didn't test my insulin, she didn't test my estrogen, she didn't do anything, but gave me that diagnosis. So she actually sent me for a blood test. That's when I found that my estrogen is like underground, so low, and that my insulin's fine. I'm not insulin resistant, my insulin's fine. So what she does is they give you, well, it depends. They might give you like a tablet form, or I got a tonic. It's called a tonic. So it's a mix of all these different herbs. Tastes disgusting. Yeah, nods, yeah. Okay, so it's like so for me specifically, because my estrogen was really low, I couldn't even tell you what kind. Peony was one of them. There's like all these different herbs in liquid form. They mix it all together, and then you take it once a day, might be twice a day. And then also I had to have these tablets, which was called Tribulus, and that was like to mimic a cycle for me. So I would take the herbs every single day, take the shot, brutal, 4 o'clock in the morning, take the shot every day, and then 14 days I would start taking this tribulus, which would trick my brain into spiking my progesterone levels. So I had to do that to literally just like mimic a cycle, and it took a while to work, but it did. So then my brain's going, oh, I remember, like at this time you increase your progesterone levels, at this time you decrease your estrogen levels. So they work specifically to you. Quite likely. I mean, we'll never know, but it's so common because we didn't know back then what effects it would have later, you know? To answer your question, I had a lot of things. So I had really bad period pain. I would be like curled over in pain. I was sexually active. So there was a few things, a few different reasons. And then I just went on one and stayed on that forever. I didn't even try because it helped with the period pain. And that's what it was meant to do, you know, so I didn't even try. And it's not a bad thing. Like, some people can be on the pill. I haven't, luckily. Some people can be on the pill for 50 years of their life and not have an issue. Okay? Yeah, it's just a conversation to have as well. Like, I know some people in here have daughters, you know, like it's just let's just do some research before we put you on it, you know, like some people are fine. Thank you. Thanks, guys. That was fun.